Hi everyone, my name is Christina, and my husband Kevin and I really wanted to do a video of our cold cap journey that I've been on with the polar cold caps since starting my chemotherapy. I wanted to, before we kind of showed you the whole process, I wanted to just kind of give a little backstory on my diagnosis and the type of chemotherapy I'm on, just my hair type, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I started off with and what I've been faced with the cold cap. So if your story is a little different, you can kind of compare a little bit. I was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer, hormone hormone receptor positive, only just by a little bit, estrogen and progesterone positive by about 20%. My mass was about 1.8 centimeters, and after I had a full mastectomy back in July, the markers came back very low. I did not have any involvement in any lymph nodes or the chest wall. The tumor was pretty encapsulated in itself, thankfully. So that then led me to have an oncotype test done, and the oncotype, the aggressiveness of the cells came back on the higher side. So my oncologist and surgeon kind of thought all along my cancer was kind of acting aggressive because of my age. I'm 35, I'll be 35 in a few weeks. But they kind of thought it was acting like a triple negative all along, even though it was showing some markers of hormone receptors. So we did the oncotype test to see how aggressive the cancer really was and how beneficial chemotherapy would have been. And unfortunately, with no such luck, my oncotype came back on the higher side, 52. And so that meant that the cancer had about a 40% chance of reoccurring if I did no intervention with chemotherapy. So obviously it was a given. I had to do the chemo, as much as nobody wants to do that. You know, your life is more important, so you have to do what you have to do, and you have to start the fight. And in the mix of everything else, though, with the diagnosis, I also found out I was pregnant at the very same time, within days of each other. So right now, well, first of all, my oncologist it suggested I do 8 total rounds of chemo, 4 rounds of the AC and 4 rounds of Taxol. Typically the Taxol, you can do it weekly or bi-weekly. It doesn't matter either way. I just decided it was best for me to do it the bi-weekly way to get it done faster with the pregnancy. I don't want to have chemo ending too soon to my delivery, multiple reasons with COVID. I tolerated the AC pretty well so far, so that was another reason why I chose to do the dose dense, faster way of Taxol. So all in all, I had to do 8 rounds, 4 and 4. Right now, I'm in the middle of my chemo journey, and this is why I wanted to start this video now, to kind of show you where I am in the process of my hair versus loss, versus how many rounds of AC I've been through so far and how many I have left, and kind of what I have left ahead of me. So when I started off, my hair type was kind of, I would say between thin and medium. It wasn't super thin. I kind of have very fine hair, but a lot of hairs. So I was scared from the beginning because I thought I don't have a whole lot of hair to lose. And if you know anything about the cold caps, if you've done any research, it's very hit or miss. A lot of people have good success. A lot of people have a lot of thinning on the sides and balding patches, and for whatever reasons they can't continue or don't want to continue. So I was very reluctant to want to start to do this because I didn't know what it was going to be for me. But ultimately, I decided that it was worth the shot. If I didn't do it, I would have been probably pretty upset that I didn't at least try. So that was my thought process after kind of thinking about it for a really long time and going back and forth. But the whole reason that my husband and I wanted to make this video is because in the beginning of this, I felt like I just had a lot of questions, and doing a lot of research online about cold caps, it's kind of becoming a newer thing. there isn't a whole lot of like videos and tutorials on how to do it. A lot of testimonials, you know, people, especially for all the different companies that it worked well. A lot of people saw like 10 to 20, 30% hair loss. So it's just kind of, I was wishing that there was some type of instructional video. I know that they can give you some on the actual sites, like the Polar Cold Cap site. They have an instructional video, but it's just kind of like a model and you know, somebody from a representative from the company. And I just was wanting to see a real live person going through it, putting it on right in the raw, how to pack the cooler up, tips and tricks. And I wasn't really finding anything like that. So my husband and I have a pretty good science down at this point. We feel like, well, I am having good success with it, at least so far. So I really wanted to make this video so I could help anybody that's kind of thinking about it or nervous to try, or anything that can help ease the worry behind the whole thing, just with a very step-by-step of what we have done through this process to give me the success that I've had so far. All along, my oncologist was telling me that the AC was the big culprit for the hair loss. And without doing cold cap at all, 100% hair loss. I have never seen anybody be able to keep their hair that I know of having to go through that harsh of a drug treatment. So for me, I feel like I have, when I wash my hair, which is very infrequently, I started off doing it just once a week, which even felt a little too frequent for me, because in my normal, I would wash my hair like every 3 or 4 days. So I felt like that was even a little bit too frequent. But in the beginning, your hair gets so greasy that it's almost like unbearable. But luckily with COVID and everything going on, we're not going anywhere, so it didn't really matter too much. But then I decided after round 1 that I was gonna wash my hair every 2 weeks. So my infusions are on Wednesdays, and so on every Monday, every other Monday, I wash my hair. So I make sure not to wash it a few days before chemo, and certainly at least 2 weeks after chemo. Okay, so as of now, after 3 rounds, I go for my 4th round of AC on Wednesday. Today's Saturday, so in just a few days, I'll have my 4th round. By now, after 3 rounds, I should be having significant loss, if not complete loss, without the cold cap. Overall, I feel like I have lost very minimal hair. Of course, since I go so infrequently without washing it, you get just natural hairs that fall out anyways. I would brush my hair in the past and just have clumps of hair. I mean, that's just what happens, especially when you don't barely touch it or brush it or anything. So I want to say overall, I have had a little thinning, but I don't have any like noticeable spots per se. My hair kind of always looks just a little unkept because I'm not doing anything with it. I try to, some days I don't even brush it. My hair, I cut it to a little below my shoulders on purpose before we started this process, just to keep it from not tangling too much. But I really just try not to mess with it. And when I do want to pull it back, I just use a scrunchie, just a really loose scrunchie. I have to wrap it around twice because, I mean, I don't have a lot of hair to begin with. So just a real loose pony. Sometimes if I'm going to bed, so it's just not all over the place, or I have a 15-month-old daughter, you know, if my hair is in the way, I don't want her pulling on it, I'll pull it back. But otherwise, I just try to keep it untouched. Don't mess with it. I can't style it. And when I do wash it about every 2 weeks, I use extremely cold water, and I do not, I don't like really dry it with a towel very well. I just kind of let it air dry enough until it's not soaking wet. And then I just kind of pat it dry. And then I just, with a wet brush, just very gently run a brush through it, holding the middle of my hair and brushing the ends first, kind of working my way up. And I really don't touch the roots too much. So This is, let's see, I washed my hair almost a week ago, and since I've trained it so well at this point, it doesn't get too greasy anymore, which is good. It did at first, but now that I kind of have like a system going on in my hair, then oils are used to what I'm doing. It doesn't really get too greasy. So I will be going to the infusion center on Wednesday, and then I won't wash my hair again until the next Monday, maybe even longer. I don't know. It's the last AC, and I don't want to, might not take any chances, but I'll let you guys know. So some other tips and tricks about the brushing. If you have to wash your hair in really cold water, what I do on the days that I wash my hair is I get in the bathtub. We have a pretty deep soaking tub, but I get in the bathtub, I lay a little bit of water in the bottom to kind of keep my legs and my body warm, and I just tilt my head back and I wash my hair in the most extremely cold water. And trust me, if you're doing the cold cap and you know how cold that is, washing your hair in cold faucet water is nothing in comparison, although the cold water is dripping on you, and yes, it isn't pleasant, but it's totally tolerable and very important to do. I use an all natural shampoo from the line Puracy and conditioner. It doesn't have any chemicals or sulfates, parabens, nothing like that in it that would, cause any kind of havoc on my hair or my roots. I don't put any product in my hair, no volumizer, no detangler, besides the conditioner, which is very minimal. I try not to put it up in my roots too much, just kind of like mid-length down. I don't use any heating tools. I don't use a blow dryer. Like I said, I just let it basically drip dry for quite a while. And then when it gets to a point where it's drier, I attempt to just brush it. And I do have hairs that come out, like I said, but I can't really say overall that I've had an extensive amount or clumps of hair in the whole process so far. So from what I understand at this point, making it just the last AC, if I can get to this point, the Taxol isn't usually as abusive on the hair loss. It can still cause hair loss, so I'll certainly be wearing the caps through the Taxol. But if I could make it this far without any major hair loss going on, I think that it's working pretty well so far. But I'm definitely going to do a before and after picture when I'm all said and done, so I can kind of show you guys firsthand what my hair looked like before I started and at the end, to see if it really looks any different in all different kind of angles. So the next thing we're going to show you guys, and it won't be for a couple days, so I'll have to get back to you, is the night before on how we pack the cooler. And my husband is a pro at all of this, and he'll be the one kind of showing in the videos in the infusion center his whole process and what kind of has worked for him, because ultimately the success truly relies on your support person that is with you doing the cold caps, because you yourself sitting in the chair are helpless. You can't put the caps on yourself. You can't manage the cooler and everything going on. All of your trust really is in the person to do it right that is with you. So my husband has been a rock star. We've kind of fumbled our way through in the beginning, and we just kind of found a system that worked really well. And again, it's working really well. So we wanted to just show everybody what we do, so it can, maybe help your situation too. So I'll see you on Tuesday night when we pack the cooler.
All right, so we are getting ready to pack our cold cap cooler up for my wife's 8th treatment for her breast cancer, and it's worked great so far. But this is my experience coming into play here, where what we get now is 6 slabs, which is 60 pounds of dry ice. Then we get two big bags that are 20 pounds each of dry ice. They're 10 pounds each of dry ice, and I package them into these little Ziploc baggies to use during chemo tomorrow. So We pack our 6 caps in there. I'm going to show you guys how I pack it up. It's pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to it. So I just get a slab and put a layer of dry ice on the bottom. The slabs don't fit perfectly on the bottom, so I have to usually try to find one that maybe might be cracked or crack easily. Just split it. Sometimes it works better than others. That time didn't work great. I'll just kind of layer the bottom as best as I can. And we'll just set that one off to the side, and we'll eventually use it probably tomorrow for something. And then I always start with number 6 and number 5 on the bottom. Those are the last ones you go through tomorrow. Just lay them flat in there on the dry ice. Alright. I usually take one of the bags and push it off the side here just so.
Side note, one of the bags, or on each of the bags, leave a little bit of it open or they get expanded. So you have to leave so that it can
the carbon
ventilate.
dioxide and the cap builds up in there and it causes the bags to expand. So then I just take more slabs, make another layer of the dry ice slabs. Kind of like a puzzle, you gotta find the way they fit in next to each other nice and tight. Usually on the second layer, the slabs don't need to be broken down anymore at all because they'll fit side by side. And then I always stack all the even caps on one side and all the odd caps on the other. And that just helps with how we cycle through them tomorrow at chemo. So I do always do the even ones on the right side and the odd ones on the left side. So now we got 3 and 4 going in. And I take my last 2 slabs and put them in here. Still fit. Alright, fit in there right nicely. And then I take the first 2 caps we're going to use tomorrow, number 1, number 2, and put those on top. And the last thing I do is I just try to, since we don't have enough slabs to cover the whole top of it, just try to lay, especially number 1, enough dry ice across the top of it to make sure it's cold for tomorrow. And then on top of number 2, and then take a couple towels. Usually shove a couple towels in here, at least 1. Sometimes 2 if I can get them to fit.
This helps keep all the vapors inside the cooler as well.
And insulates everything. This might be too much, but plenty.
Okay, today is the morning of my chemotherapy, and I just wanted to kind of show you guys what things that we pack for the cold caps that are very helpful, things I do ahead of time just to get prepared. These 2 straps come with the cold cap kit. They are Velcro straps, and they will show you later how we put them across like my forehead and then the back of base of my neck to kind of really get that cold cap nice and tight against your skull. So it comes with 3. We've found we only usually use 2. I usually bring like a really soft microfiber cloth to put where the cold cap meets the back of my neck. Sometimes it doesn't hit your head all the way. And there's like a little void or like a gap, and having a little towel there has really helped because it's very cold at the base of your neck. So I always make sure I have one of those. And in anything that I've watched ahead of time, you definitely want to have some type of head covering, like a shower cap, or the infusion center actually gave me one of these surgery caps to kind of hold your hair all together. So any of the Velcro straps from either the cap or these don't pull on your hair. So that is something that is really important that you want to have, is a couple of these on hand. This one's lasted me probably 3 or 4 rounds. So unless the Velcro gets really stuck to it, it pretty much, can be used multiple times. Then as far as my ears go, to protect my ears from the cold cap, I just got a couple of like really thin panty liners. And ahead of time, I get 2 of them each time, and I fold them in half, and I just lay them directly over my ears, which I'll show later, as Kevin is gonna be putting the cap on my head. These are insulated more than enough to protect your ears from the cold, and you definitely need them. So I always bring a pair of scissors in case I need to trim something. Primarily what I'm talking about is the moleskin padding. You can buy at any drugstore. I got it at Walgreens. It comes in a pack of 3 sheets. I had to do 8 treatments. I used a pack and a half. And every time I just take 1 sheet and I cut it down the middle. And then I round the edges. And I'll show you later when I'm putting this on my head why. Because where it meets your hairline, if you keep it square, the stickiness of the moleskin padding absolutely will get caught in like the little fine hairs on where your forehead meets your hairline, and it is very painful when you rip it off. So you definitely want to round the edges. I found that out the hard way. After the first treatment, it was almost more painful than the actual cold cap at the first. And then of course you have to have your handy gun to make sure the temperature is always at the appropriate temperature, and Kevin will go over kind of the tricks he's learned for the different parts of the cap and what temperature he keeps what at, and then always an extra battery, because absolutely the last thing you want to happen is your battery to die in the middle of chemo and you can't take temperatures of your cold cap. That would be absolutely devastating. So we always make sure we brought a battery. We have never had to use it yet, so but it's always nice to have. And then I take a mirror with me in case I don't want to, go to the bathroom at the infusion center and put all my really cute gear on. So have that. It's also handy to, when Kevin is adjusting the cold cap, if something doesn't feel right, there's never really a mirror inside the room. So it's nice to have, just as, kind of make sure the cap's sitting on your head right, or if you need to adjust anything. So that's as far as what we take for the cold cap purposes. It's always nice to have backups of all these things in case you mess something up or something, you lose one of these somehow. It's always nice to have backups. So we will see you in a bit when we show you how to do the cold caps.
So this was our first cap we had on. Take the strap off first, and then undo these little side straps, and undo her chin. And we have a hairnet underneath here that sometimes gets caught on the Velcro, so just be careful that it doesn't yank everything off, and then it slides off pretty easily. And the temperature on this one, we usually put it on, it's usually around negative 30 degrees, maybe a little bit over that, close to negative 40 at that lowest. And then we always do the front of it first. So just pull them tight, make sure the gel's nice and smushed around evenly. And I hold her earpieces on while she puts the strap on the top. And then pull these real tight. Make sure you try to smash the gel around a little bit. And pull the little side straps nice and tight. Does that feel okay? And then we put this strap across the back to kind of, I feel like the back doesn't stay very tight, so we pull this strap across the back and attach to the front. And that's it. All right, so we took the first cap off. It's got like condensation and some nice frost and stuff on it still, so I always wipe it off before I fold it back up. And I flip it over. I always fold these straps down first, and usually just connect them together. And then I fold this over. I kind of tuck this Velcro in so it sticks to the back of the cap. Do the same on this side. Velcro that together, and then I lay the strap down across the middle so it's not in the way of any of the gel being cooled, and then fold it in half. And that was cap 1. Cap 1 back in its bag. I don't zip it all the way because it'll get filled up with air, CO2 inside the cooler, so I leave it cracked open a little bit. And then we have to repack the cooler, so we have to cycle through all the caps. So cap 1 has to go all the way back at the bottom. We have cap 2 on our head now, so that one's out. And then I always keep my odd caps on the left side, so I know that cap 1 has to go all the way back down to the bottom of the left side. Alright, make sure you have your gloves on for the dry ice. Cap 3 goes on next. That's the next one that comes out. Just block the dry ice out too. Dry ice will crack pretty easily once it starts getting used and moved around a lot. So like that. Now cap 1 go all the way on the bottom. So we use it again, and it'll start getting cycled towards the top. And put the dry ice back on top. One. And then cap 5 goes back in. Put my back in here so we can use them later for anything. Over there. And where my towel go? And then just stick it on top. Close the cooler up. And then the last thing I do is the caps come out really cold. So pull cap 3 out, and I'll just unfold it here for a few minutes, probably 5 or 10 minutes. Just let it sit here and start to warm up a little bit, and then I'll start trying to smash the gel around and even it out a little bit, and start checking the temperature on it. Alright, so cap 2 has been on our head for about 10 minutes. Cap 3 has been sitting out for about 10 minutes, and you can see it's all like frosty. So obviously wipe all that off. So you can get a good temperature reading. Always, you gotta press on the gel here, smash it around, try to make it nice and even on all sides. After it sits for about 10 minutes, it gets pretty soft and you're able to move it around pretty easily. So I believe the video we saw said to, put the caps on around negative 25 to negative 30 degrees. Christina tolerates it pretty well, so I usually try to shoot for anywhere from like negative 30 to 40 degrees. It's reading low right now on the thermometer, so that side needs a little while longer. So does that. This one's reading negative 50. All right, so we'll let it go for a few more minutes. I'll keep working on it until it gets to the temperature that we want.
Okay, so it's been about 3 weeks since my last infusion, all finished with chemotherapy, and I just wanted to kind of close out the video with my current status, an update of my hair since the last time I started the video. I was finishing round 3 of AC. So 3 weeks out, all done, and I just wanted to kind of show that my hair is very much still intact. I don't feel that I've lost really any more hair than I felt that I had from the beginning of the video. So overall, I still think that I lost maybe 20% of my hair. That might even be on the high end. Like I said, I didn't have really, really thick hair to begin with. So I was worried that what would 20% look like on me, or 30%. So overall, if I am right on my estimates, I can notice a little bit of my hair thinning out, but to anybody else, they have absolutely no idea that I went through chemotherapy, and that was the whole goal, to look and feel like myself. So I think that the caps were a huge success. I don't have any balding patches, which was something else I was concerned about. If I had thinning, I was going to be okay with that. But if I had noticeable balding or missing patches of hair, that's when I was going to make the decision to not continue with the caps. So that was never ended up being the case for me, thankfully. So I really hope that all of the tips that I have given in this video, and things that I've done throughout this whole process really has helped the success that I've had, and it will help anybody that's watching this video and wants to try the cold caps to preserve their hair. From here on out, I still plan to baby my hair as much as possible. I'm going to just keep acting like I'm going through chemo, doing all the same things that I was doing while I was going through treatment. I'm not washing my hair very much at all. Probably at this point, I'm gonna wash it every week and a half. I might even go longer. I'm still not going anywhere. 32 weeks pregnant now from this whole journey, and at this point, we're just waiting to have the baby. So I have no reason to blow dry my hair or put any kind of harsh chemicals on it. So I figure we'll just keep going, and it can't hurt. So I just wanted to wish anybody luck that is going to do this, and that you have great success and that you can do it. Good luck.